Yeah, I'm in frame now. Wonderful. All right. Pen, perfect. Cell phone ringer off. Probably should do this before I start the stream, but oh well. Don't fucking care. Okay, so so get Cersei in frame there too. Okay, so of course, if you're familiar here, hello and welcome to Unspooled with me, your host, Isaac Coate. Today, we are doing my first half of June 2018 a movie review roundup where I go through everything I watched in the first half of June and review everything in one big giant video here. I did a quick count. I have 28 movies to talk about from the first, 17? Yes, the first 17 days of the month, I have 28 movies or movie-ish things. One's not a movie at all, but 28 things to discuss. So, now, my review style, I usually get into spoilers. So, up front, it is down in the description if you want to see every movie. Every movie and thing I'm going to talk about tonight for certain. It's down in the description. You can check and see if you want to avoid this or anything in particular. That description order will be in order of when I talk about them, the order I talk. So if you know, okay, you're talking about this thing, and I know I don't want to hear the next one, so I'm going to mute the video or skip ahead a couple minutes until we get done with the one that I don't want spoiled. So I'm going to go through them right up front here too, in case you're like me and too lazy to read descriptions sometimes. I get you. So here's everything I'm going to talk about tonight. Winchester, Batman, Bad Blood, You Were Never Really Here, Early Man, Every Day, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, Upgrade, Leatherface, Superman, Batman, Apocalypse, Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell, Mary and the Witch's Flower, Peter Rabbit, Along with the Gods, The Two Worlds, Tomb Raider from this year, Justice League Dark, Batman Year One, Justice League Gods and Monsters, Batman Gotham Knight, A Kid Like Jake, the movie from this year, not the play, Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox, Hereditary, Lean on Pete, Alex Strangelove, Forever My Girl, Thoroughbreds, Les Miserables 25th Anniversary Concert, and Gringo. So that is everything I'm going to talk about here tonight. So as you can tell, lots of stuff from this year, lots of DC animated. I'm trying to work my way through both those things. So let's start with Winchester. So I didn't hate Winchester. It's okay. It's nothing special. It's nothing spectacular. It's, fairly conventional haunted house story. There is one cool creative sequence near the end. The Spierig brothers typically are very innovative, creative horror guys, but with Saw 8, Jigsaw from last year, and with Winchester here, they're kind of half-assing it a little bit. Like, they're not trying their hardest to be creative or innovative here when they're working in these kind of more, I guess, mainstream horror, or in the vein of Saw, this very long-running established franchise. There is one very interesting sequence at the end where they Helen Mirren and the doctor guy are fighting this ghost, and this ghost takes control of like 80 guns at one time, and like uses 80 guns at a time or something. That part's That part's very visually interesting, very visually creative. But the rest of the movies, you're very standard jump scare oriented haunted house film. It's okay, but it's nothing that you need to check out by any means. But it's okay. Batman Bad Blood. You have to pull up my notes here because it's been a long time since I watched this one. 2 weeks. Yeah, long fucking time, right? But I've seen lots of stuff in between, so I need a refresher of plot mostly. Okay, so Batman Bad Blood. This came out in 2016. So this follows the larger Bat family, not just Batman and Robin, but Nightwing and Batwoman, Batgirl maybe, or both. Red Robin, all these guys it follows, all these people. And the villains are Heretic, which is a very aged up, age-accelerated clone of Damian Wayne, the current Robin in DC animated continuity, as well as Talisa Al Ghul, who's Ra's al Ghul's daughter and Damian Wayne's mother. So it's a wonderful action-filled adventure with this larger Bat family, with those two compelling villains, if they are a bit simple. They're pretty simple motivations, but that's better than most DC villains get, especially in the live-action universe. But it's a very solid, very good film. It's nothing spectacular, but Batman Bad Blood is a good one that I would recommend. You're Never Really Here. This came out this year. This is Lynn Ramsey's latest project that we need to talk about, Kevin Lady. So here's the thing. I liked this movie. I liked it. I didn't know what the fuck was going on for at least half the runtime. I was just sitting there going, what's happening? Who's this? What are they going? There's not a lot of dialogue. There's little to no exposition, really, which is fine. I don't mind that. That's not a problem. But it wasn't great what was presented to me. It wasn't great. It's, it doesn't really go anywhere. It follows Joaquin Phoenix, who's this fucking, I don't even know what he does, but he's like this dude who rescues kidnapped girls when the parents don't want to get the cops involved, I guess. And it's not really clear exactly what the fuck he does, but that's kind of what I think it is that he does. So there is an attempt in this to craft some sort of story about government corruption or mass cover-ups or something, but it doesn't go anywhere. Most of the plot that is there goes little to nowhere, but there's still just something about this film that I enjoyed. I wouldn't say I liked, but I didn't hate sitting through it like some of the other shit I'm going to talk about tonight. But I didn't particularly love it. Nothing really engaged me, but it looks nice. Joaquin Phoenix is great, but there's just not much to this movie that I really found worthwhile. But it's okay. Up next, Early Man. This is all from this year. This is from Nick Park, the Wallace and Gromit, or one of the Wallace and Gromit guys. This is, another stop motion clay animation thing, which is beautifully animated, beautiful visually. Unfortunately, the story is your very cliched and standard underdog wins the big event sports movie, Admittedly, it is a very well executed version of that story, but it's still that story. Same story you've seen hundreds of times if you watch sport movies, which I don't, but typically, if you do, you've seen this story a bunch, I'm sure. So it's all right, but it looks great. The comedy is genuinely funny at times, if a bit predictable, and relying a bit too much on, fart jokes and shit. But it's okay. All in all, I did enjoy the movie. I would recommend it, especially if you have a younger person, if you have a child. This is a quality children's film that's not a heinous, vile piece of shit like one we'll talk about a bit later. But I enjoyed Early Man. It's nothing great, but it's solid. Every Day. This also came out this year. Now, this has a very interesting premise. Now, this is adapted from a book, which I read the book when it came out. I don't remember a lot about the book anymore, but I read the book when it came out, and I liked the book. I remember I really enjoyed the book. Apparently, I sold it because it's not over there with all my other books. But nonetheless, so the premise is that this individual is a disembodied spirit that changes bodies every day. That's the premise. And it's always someone the same age that they currently are, presumably to them, within the same general geographical area is the premise, which is a pretty interesting one. It's not a typical. It's an unusual premise, to say the least. And they make it. The filmmakers make it work well for this. It has a very heartfelt ending, and it does give this romantic drama a very fresh feel to it, like it's something you haven't seen before, even if it kind of is after the first hour and a half-ish. Like the last 20 minutes, it's the standard cliche straight teen romance shit you've seen hundreds of times. But the first 2/3 of the movie at least feels very different than something you've seen before. At least to me, it felt very, very fresh. There are, unfortunately to me, some things lost in the adaptation process. Now, this could just be I misremember the book, which is a possibility, but because I remember in the book, there's this whole bit about how the main romantic lead, the main female romantic lead, is struggling at times to deal with this person that is in love with her and that she has fallen in love with, inhabiting the body of women sometimes. And she has to figure out, okay, well, I think I'm straight, but am I in love with this spirit here, the personality of this spirit, and not the physical manifestation they take on? And does it matter to me what body they're inhabiting? And that is minorly present in the film adaptation, barely. Not much, because as the film resolves, the spirit is able to stay in a body for as long as they want, presumably, if they want to. They usually don't do it, but if they want to, they can. So how does the film resolve? Well, of course, as you would expect, what's the body that the soul decides to stick around in? The super hot white guy. Like, no, we're not going to get like the unconventionally attractive Latin guy or the black woman or something. No, it's the super hot white guy. Okay, so which I will admit is a nice visual, but isn't, that's really not how this story should have resolved, when this is really a story about the universality of attraction regardless of gender bounds is really what the heart of this story is about. And the film loses that part of it a bit. It's present for moments, but it loses that being the core of the film. And really the core of the film becomes, can this girl really fall in love with this spirit who's in the body of a different hot dude every day? Like, can she really get dicked down by all these hot guys and be okay with it? Like, I think she could. So it loses a little bit in the adaptation, but it's still a good film on its own. It's all right for sure. Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. So this came out in 2009. The premise of this one is that Lex Luthor gets himself elected president of the United States, and he employs superheroes to basically the DC version of the Superhero Registration Act from Cap Civil War and the Marvel Universe as a whole. It basically takes that into, and basically that's what Lex Luthor does, but Luthor turns it into a government intern program where like the superheroes have to volunteer to work for the government or be imprisoned, basically. Superman and Batman are opposed to this for varying reasons, and they have to come together to unveil Lex Luthor's true evil plan, So it has wonderful action sequences, a very intriguing and engaging story, as well as very many surprising and wonderful guest appearances, from the likes of Hawkman and others who I forget now. But very, very good. Highly recommend this animated picture. All right, let's talk about Upgrade now. I've seen a lot of people fucking losing their shit over this movie for some reason that I really don't know why, but a lot of people have been saying, oh my God, Upgrade's so amazing. Like, I don't know. I'm not the giantest of action movie guys, but, I'm down for a big, dumb action movie when it knows it's a big, dumb action movie. And this, and Upgrade knows it's a big, dumb action movie. The problem is it then tries to get, I'm not sure which way to take it, but in the third act, it tries to get either super like Blade Runner philosophical argument level of plot going, or it just tries to be so fucking stupid that it's still fun. I'm not sure which it's going for. But there is some fun action sequences in this film. The camera work, I really love the camera work here from Lee Winnell. The camera work is great because a lot of it's very eye line, and then like you tilt with the guy. I don't remember his name now, but you follow his eye line, and a lot of bouncy cam, lots of weird like tracking movements and stuff that I enjoyed. I enjoyed that kind of camera work with this. I felt it really got the feel across well of the kind of visceral yet bouncy fun of what's happening in the film across. It really felt great there. The problem is, though, that the plot, see, here's the thing. If you're going to make a movie like this, make The Raid and have no fucking plot and just be fucking insane action sequences for an hour and a half. Just do that, okay? Just do that. But when you're going to introduce a plot, I have to pay attention to your plot, and I have to judge your plot on an actual level of, is this A, good, B, followable, and C, logical. Upgrade is not really any of those things, because basically it's like this computer chip gains sentience, overtakes the brain of Zac Efron if he was addicted to meth. I don't know what the fuck else to call it. I don't know how else to describe this guy. Like the main doctor, the genius kid, is what he's kind of basically playing here. Like he looks like Zac Efron de-aged, and like when he finished High School Musical, instead of going on to be in a bunch of dumb sex comedies, he got really big into meth, but is still kind of hot, but not really. It's a really weird. That's what I spent most of the movie that wasn't an action scene trying to figure out is, what is this dude? A, who is this dude? B, what kind of look is this here that he's pulling? I don't know. It was weird. Nonetheless, so the computer chip gains sentience, overtakes the, meth Efron, forces him to order a hit on a guy and then get himself implanted into the dude so that he can overtake the dude to gain full humanity, kind of, and then go on a murder spree. So the plot is very dumb. So goddamn stupid. So stupid. And the plot twists are so predictable. So, like, the first one, I had an audible fucking serious to when that pulled, when they reveal that Meth Efron ordered the hit on the dude, on the main protagonist. That got a fucking serious out of me. And then when we get the computer chip gain sentience twist bit, I literally started laughing, which I think the other like 5 people in the theater with me, at least 2 of them turned around to look at me like, what are you laughing at? But yeah, if you want some cool action sequences where dude punches the shit out of people, it's good for that. Do not watch this for an interesting plot, because the plot is so stupid. And so just moving on. Leatherface. This came out last year, of course, a prequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Boy. Leatherface, here, I'll get this out of the way. I did not hate this movie, which I thought I was going into it, just because I typically do with these kind of fucking movies. But I didn't hate it. It's not good by any stretch of the imagination, but it's okay enough that it's not a pain. It's not a painful slog to sit through like some other movies of this vein. But it's also not very interesting. Like, there are some terrific moments, but overall, it gets bogged down heavily in really the middle hour with this very uninteresting subplot about like a child psych hospital or something, or an orphanage. I forget what, but you know, and it's your typical, it's like the Rob Zombie Halloween, the first Rob Zombie Halloween, where it's, they're in a awful orphanage and the warden abuses them in some way and stuff. You know, it's that shit. I will admit that I liked in this movie, I liked the chainsaw kills were nice. I liked the start with the 10-year-old Leatherface having to chainsaw a dude in half and not being able to do it. I liked that opening. And I liked I'd say about the start of the third act, they pull off a twist that I honestly didn't see coming, which is they play it up for the whole movie that this dude here, this one guy, this kid is Leatherface. And then 2/3 of the way through, it's, no, he's not. It's this other kid. It's like, oh, okay. And it's actually moderately interesting. Like, they have that first kid, like, do the, pulling the dead body across an open field limp walk thing. They have him do that, which is so I liked the twist. I didn't think it was badly executed. I actually liked it. I thought it was executed very well. I honestly didn't see it coming because they had played that first one up so well. And it even did fit logically with the rest of the film, unlike other third act twists sometimes do. So it worked. And the movie as a whole is okay. It's not great. The middle hour is kind of a slog. It's not painful, but it's very uninteresting. And as a warning, if you watch this, you will be subjected to Finn Jones again. You'll be subjected to his acting. He's not bad in this, and in a little bit role, he's fine for that, but Finn Jones is not great, but he's fine in little bit roles. It's when he gets tasked with carrying something, he's awful. So, if you're still pained from watching Iron Fist, just be aware. You'll be subjected to Finn Jones again in this, but he's okay. Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. This is a origin story for Supergirl, as well as a fun time with some of the new gods in this film. All in all, I really liked this film a lot. I quite enjoyed it. Highly recommend Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. Tremors 6, or Tremors: A Cold Day in Hell. This came out this year. This is a very, very over-the-top, it's occasionally fun action film. Unfortunately, it suffers from a completely unlikable main character. The old dude is so fucking annoying. Oh my god. I mean, you're introduced to him going like, I don't know, he's like fake threatening to shoot a guy from the IRS who's coming to collect his taxes, and it's really stupid, really annoying. And it also has a series of absolutely asinine subplots of, let's see, there's some fucking romance that makes no sense whatsoever. Because they play it as a romance. It's not played as like these two are going to go fuck in 10 minutes and then be done. No, it's played like a full romance, which doesn't work at all. There's this really just so... there's another subplot about the old guy being infected with the worm creature's virus or something, so they have to like crawl inside of one to get a cure for it or some shit. I don't know. So there's a bunch of stupid subplots, the unlikable main character, but action sequences are on occasion fun. So if you liked the I was about to say if you liked the first Tremors, but no, if you've liked all of the sequels, if you've liked 2 through 5, you'll probably like this. So it's okay. I will never watch this piece of shit again, but it's all right. But I don't recommend it, but it's all right. So Mary and the Witch's Flower. Now, I believe this came out this year. I could be wrong, but that's what my internet research showed me. So this is just absolutely gorgeous animation. This is the same guy that did When Marnie Was There with Studio Ghibli. This is his new studio, Studio Ponic, I believe. This is the first film from the studio, which I'm very excited for the future of this new studio, this new Japanese animation studio. So beautiful animation. The story, I'd heard a few people, that I know talk about this movie and say, well, it's gorgeous, it's fun, but the story is, very generic, not very interesting. I have to disagree. Not that it's uninteresting, because it is at times uninteresting, though most things are at times. But all in all, I found the story not necessarily the most original thing ever. How original can a movie about a girl gaining magical powers be at this point? In reality, how original can any story at this point be, really? But I found it different enough. I found it interesting. I quite found myself, very engaged in what was going on, what is going on at this witch school, and what is the doctor up to? What are these transformation spells or whatever they're working on? What are those? What do they do? I was very interested throughout this whole movie. I quite enjoyed it. It's a fun, fantastical story about magic. Now, the film does start off a little slow, but after about the first 20 to 25 minutes, it's absolutely incredible the rest of the way through, at least to me. I loved this thing, so I highly recommend Mary and the Witch's Flower. This gets a love from me here. I fucking loved Mary and the Witch's Flower. So, Along with the Gods, The Two Worlds from last year. This is a South Korean fantasy epic. I don't know. I walked into my public library. It was sitting in the new release section. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I Googled it like, oh, okay, last year. And this doesn't sound too bad. Okay, sure, I'll check it out. I liked this thing. I thought it was pretty good. I'd seen other reviews. No one I know had seen this movie. So I had to look up internet reviews, which, yeah, that can be a dangerous proposition at times. Usually not, but at times it can be a little iffy. But I know I saw some people love this thing, some people fucking hated it. But I enjoyed this movie a lot. I wouldn't say it's great. It's not great by any means, but it's at least it's very good at the least here. I found it to be very visually thrilling. I thought the effects were really good. I know I'd seen other people say the effects sucked, but I don't know. They looked pretty good to me. It wasn't, noticeably awful with something like it wasn't like Justice League or even Black Panther had some bad effects work in it. Like I didn't notice it in here. If it was poorly done, they hid the poor effects really damn well. I thought it looked great. I found it to be also very intellectually stimulating. It's a trip through a hyper fantasy version, I assume, I don't know 100%, but my assumption of the Buddhist afterlife. So I found it fascinating. I was riveted throughout, this 2-hour plus runtime. And I found myself crying at the end of this movie, actually. It moved me to tears, actually. So, granted, there's a lot of movies that do that anymore, but there are a lot of them now that do. But this was great. I highly recommend it. I'm not going to go love, but I highly recommend, along with The Gods, The Two Worlds. Now let's talk about a fucking garbage heap of a film. Peter Rabbit from this year. This was so goddamn stupid. I hated every second of this. That's a lie. I enjoyed getting to look at Domhnall Gleeson for an hour. I enjoyed that part. And honestly, the last, I don't know, there's like one moment in the last like 5 minutes that I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. Okay. But most of this was so stupid, so boring, utterly pointless, and honestly, I don't know why anyone would like this. I don't know why you would show this to your children. This is not, it's a children's movie, sure, but this is not anything I would ever show to a child. This is so fucking awful. There's nothing intellectually stimulating about this. There's, the animation's fine. The rabbits look cute, sure, but the rabbits are cute. Domhnall Gleeson's cute, but nothing else about this is really remotely interesting. I don't like this movie at all. So don't fucking watch this. Unless you're someone who does bad movie review show of some kind. Peter Rabbit, check that out. You can have a fucking field day. Actually, I don't even know if you could. Because it's not one of those like Dark Tower or something where it's so awful that it works for comedy. I really don't think this one even works for that. I don't think. I don't know. I haven't tried to do that, but I don't even know if there'd be enough here to get a good riff track out of. Honestly, I don't. But don't. All right. Tomb Raider, the reboot from this year. I keep trying to knock Cersei off, don't I? So I will say this. I liked this Tomb Raider more than I did the Jolie ones. But this is still not good. Like, it's okay. I'll at least give them this. This Tomb Raider is not bad. It's still lacking a lot, but it's not a bad movie. But it's very just medium, very medium. Now, admittedly, Alicia Vikander is fucking great here. I mean, of course she is. It's Alicia Vikander. What do you expect? But she's legitimately trying in this movie, and she makes it work. She's good here. The action sequences are fun and very visually impressive. But the story of this movie is very tedious, very bland, basically an Indiana Jones ripoff. Honestly, God, oh Jesus, am I going to say this? It's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull without the aliens bit. It's really that. Like, it's the whole, like, the whole movie here is basically Indy 4 up until they get the skull part, I think. I don't remember Indy 4 that great. I watched it once, so I don't remember it that great. I watched it once in the theater. Haven't watched it since. So, but this is basically that, because it's like Laura Croft has to figure out this tomb. She has to get inside it. She's the Tomb Raider, right? Not technically yet. She's not technically the Tomb Raider in this movie. She's working her way there in the sequel that's baited that will never be made after this fucking box office. Nonetheless, so she has to figure out how to get into this tomb, where it's located, how to get in, what the protections, it's a mix of Indy 4 and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a mix of Crystal Skull and Ark, where it's the trap to get out thing. Like, it's like the opening 5 minutes of Raiders with the first hour of Crystal Skull. That's really what this is. It's a combo of two Indiana Jones movies. And actually with a bit of Last Crusade with the father shit in here. So, this is basically a pastiche of 3 Indiana Jones movies. Unfortunately, taking, to me at least, the worst elements of 2 of them. And then, any bit of Crystal Skull is not great. So, I don't know. It's admittedly, it's okay. The story is very bland and tedious that you've seen done better before. And also, to me at least, this film really cements to me that Laura Croft just is not a compelling character. Tomb Raider is not a compelling IP for a film franchise. It's just not. If you think back to the original Tomb Raider games, what was the whole shtick of the first ones? Is that it's basically Indiana Jones with giant tits, right? That was the shtick of the first one, of the first games. Then this new reboot series, I know there's at least 2. I don't fucking keep up with games I don't care about at this point. So this new one, she's female Nathan Drake, right? she's annoyingly quippy and like, so I just don't really think Tomb Raider is a good IP for a movie. Honestly, I just don't. Because it's going to endlessly unless you somehow do something so radically different from the games that you're going to lose the game of people, which granted this is Tomb Raider. It's not a giant game fan base for this the way there is, the way there is for Resident Evil or, if they ever make that Halo movie or something like that, So you'd have to do something so radically different from the games that you would lose the gaming crowd, I think. Because basically, if you're going to straight adapt one of, or at least parts of the game into a movie, all you're doing is an Indiana Jones ripoff at that point. That's all you're doing. Since that's what the original games basically were. That's really all you're doing. And that's probably not going to fly in film circles. But I don't know what to tell you. Justice League Dark. So this is very fun. Introduction of magic into the DC universe, kind of more explicitly. Very interesting. I quite enjoyed how Batman is basically an audience insert character for the first hour, where basically Batman's whole role is he stands around, watches these people do magic, and goes, oh. Basically, that's all he does for the first hour. I loved that. I found that fucking hilarious. So I really, really like Justice League Dark. Came out last year. Highly recommend it. Batman Year One. This came out in 2011. This is a pretty entertaining look at the early days of Batman. Now, sadly, the story is mostly a standard police procedural, because for most of the movie we're following following Lieutenant James Gordon at the time, and how we focus on how his rise to police commissioner as we come to know him in Batman proper universe. So this is okay, but it's your standard police procedural. Though Gordon's got to fight corrupt cops in the Gotham Police Department. So, you've seen this kind of story before, but this just has Batman in it for 20 minutes. So it's okay, nothing spectacular. Justice League Gods and Monsters. This came out in 2015. This is a look at an alternate universe to the standard DC one. In this one, this is basically the mirror universe from Star Trek, where all the characters are fucked up and evil. Batman is a literal Batman, and he's a vampire. Superman, instead of his father being Jor-El, is that his father's name? I forget now. But so instead of being this beacon of hope and goodness and whatnot, Superman instead, his father's General Zod. So Superman's murders motherfuckers left and right. And Wonder Woman and Aquaman are starting a nuclear war with each other. No, that's a different movie. Sorry. We'll get to that one in a minute. But Wonder Woman is just hacking people in half with her sword. And she has, or is that the other one? No, this one. She has a mother box built into her sword, which is really cool, actually. Which is a cool idea. They should actually cop that for Wonder Woman 2, shouldn't they? That'd be cool, actually. Anyway, well, that's set in the 80s, so I guess mother boxes probably aren't invented yet. So I guess you have to wait for Wonder Woman 3, huh? But anyway, this is your kind of standard Justice League plot, big baddie that has to go be defeated in some way. But there are some interesting things done with these twists on classic characters. So I do recommend Justice League Gods and Monsters, but it's not a spectacular endeavor or anything like that. Batman Gotham Knight. I fucking hated this one. This came out in 2008. This is a collection of 6 standard Batman stories that you've seen done before and done much better. You know, children encounter him out in the wild and relate their experience to their peers, or the police, a member of the police force is hesitant to follow Batman because of his vigilantism, but is ultimately saved and learns that Batman is truly a good human, even if he doesn't seem to be. And then it's your standard Batman shit. It's nothing spectacular. I don't really recommend Gotham Knight. You can skip this one. The animation, I will admit, the animation in this one, they do 6 different stories animated 6 different ways to how the directors want. And the animation is visually interesting all the time, but the stories are just so mundane stuff you've seen before. A Kid Like Jake. This came out this year. This is a very heartwarming and very honest slice of life drama. I found myself very much enjoying these kind of movies more recently. Tully is kind of like this, and I love Tully, but that's for a different day. So A Kid Like Jake follows Jim Parsons. Yeah, that Jim Parsons. Yeah, the Big Bang Theory dude. Yeah, him. But he's good. Don't worry. He doesn't have to do comedy, so he's good. Don't worry. Which, this still pains me when I see this kind of stuff that he's in. Like, wait, why the fuck are you doing oh, right. You're getting paid millions an episode. That's why. Okay, right. Because, I haven't watched Big Bang in 2 seasons because I was like, God, this is fucking stupid. I'm done. But, he's really good in this film. He's great. Now, my one problem, which this is a problem I just have every now and then, is that, he's married in this film. He's married to Claire Danes. So I'm like, wait, Jim Parsons is married to yeah, and he got her pregnant at least 3 times. Yeah, sure. So beyond that issue I occasionally have, which doesn't matter too much, this deals very honestly with the potential pitfalls of parenting a queer child. And it's not even, in this film, it's not even explicitly a queer child. It's just their son, Jake, likes to cross-dress, basically, likes to wear dresses, likes to dress up as a princess and act out his favorite Disney princess films. And this film's just so fucking great. I really loved this movie. I highly recommend A Kid Like Jake. It's apparently adapted from a play of the same name. Never heard of nor seen the play, but quite enjoyed the movie. Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox from 2014. This is another alternate universe one. This one, Barry Allen as the Flash, goes back in time, uses the Speed Force to travel back in time to save his mother from being murdered, and it fucks up all kinds of shit. Most notably, Batman is no longer Bruce Wayne. Batman is Bruce's father, as the hitman killed Bruce, not his parents. And there's a weird nod to his mother, Martha, turned into the Joker, maybe? I don't know. They don't ever explore that, but it's kind of implied with a flashback scene. And then also Wonder Woman and Aquaman, they were hardcore fucking, and Aquaman's wife found out about the affair that Aquaman was having with Wonder Woman, So went to go murder Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman murdered her. And so now Aquaman is going to kill Wonder Woman and destroy the Amazonian island. I forget its name now. And so they wage all-out war, and we get one of the most fucking insane things in this movie. Aquaman has repurposed Captain Atom as a nuclear bomb. So this film basically follows Barry Allen trying to figure out what's happened. Why are we in this weird universe? How do I fix this? How do we fix this? Is it possible to fix this? And it's interesting. I enjoy the twist on all these characters. That's, you know, a different one than I've seen before. So I highly recommend Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox. Up next, also from this year, Hereditary. Holy shit, man. This was incredible. Now, god damn. I don't even know where to start with this. I fucking love this movie. Don't get me wrong. I love this. How do you start with this movie? Okay, is it scary? Absolutely. This is like the most terrifying movie I've ever seen, honestly. And this is built the way I love horror to be built, which is very slow, very atmospherically driven. There's not many. There's like maybe one or two jump scares, if that, in this movie, and they're very, very minor. Now, my one issue with the movie is that the end devolves into a satanic cult movie. So that's my lone issue. Everything else about this movie I absolutely loved. This thing is terrifying from start to finish, basically. And it's terrifying in vastly different ways. The first hour of the movie is so not necessarily terrifying or scary, but the first hour of Hereditary is just so unsettling thematically and from a story perspective, because it's just all about how Toni Collette is grieving over first her mother, and then eventually her daughter, and it's just so fucking gut-wrenching for the first hour. Then the second hour, the cult stuff starts. It starts very slow, where it starts off just simple. Toni Collette, in her grief, is convinced and driven to perform a seance to try to contact the soul of her daughter. And that's where we start getting into more traditional horror elements that are still horrifying. Unfortunately, it does devolve into kind of satanic cult, which can be good, is very well executed, is still terrifying, but I would have liked for this to be not that. I would have loved it if this movie had just gone straight up with the interpretation left open to the audience, where was this all just in Toni Collette's head? And was this all just a function of her grief? And if so, is that more or less horrifying than this stuff actually literally happening? And that's not really left as an option. But I love this thing. I loved how it's shot. I love the editing. I love the camera work. Ari Aster here does something that is so different than what other horror directors would do. Like if this was a James Wan movie, this thing would be so different, because there's this scene near the end where it's going to be close up, Toni Collette. Now, cut, close up of the father. Cut, close up of Collette. It's going to be doing a lot of that, a lot of quick jump cuts. And no, this is all very slow and methodically shot, just like the story is told. And that, to me, gives it such an unsettling feel, such an unsettling viewing experience. Very similar to Unsane from earlier this year, where Unsane has this sequence that's like, as I remember it, I'm going to have to watch it again when it comes out on home video. I'm going to have to get it from the library to rewatch Unsane for a few reasons. But there's this one bit when the main girl is in the isolation padded cell rooms, and it's like just this mostly long one continuous take of her in the room just being fucked with, basically. And it was so terrifying, so horrifying in the theater to watch that sequence. This movie is basically that like 2-minute sequence for 2 hours. And it is so horrifying. I'm giving myself goosebumps just talking about the movie, just thinking about it. My favorite use of that long hold shot is as I said, of course, there's going to be spoilers for all these movies, mostly. So there's this bit, the main girl, the young girl who's in like all the trailers, the little like slightly deformed looking face girl, her. So she dies about 50 minutes into the movie. She dies. And the way she gets killed is fucking brutal. This movie's brutal too. Like it's, oh God. Her brother, the boyfriend from, or not the boyfriend, but the male romantic lead in Happy Death Day, that guy, I think. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's that guy. Anyway, she goes to a high school party with him, right? And at this party, they're having, I'm not familiar with high school parties at this point in time, but in my experience, I didn't know high school parties baked chocolate cakes. There's other kinds of baking going on, usually not involving cakes, but I don't know. Anyway, so the little girl's allergic to nuts, to peanuts, right? They established that early on. And so she goes to this party and she has a piece of chocolate cake that is chocolate nut cake, apparently, of some kind. And she starts to, fucking suffocate, from an allergic reaction. So the brother throws her in the car and starts to, go as fast as he can to get her to the hospital. And on the way, the girl rolls down the window, sticks her head out to get air better because she can't breathe anymore, and she gets fucking decapitated by a telephone pole or an electricity pole or, one of the utility poles on the side of the road. She just gets decapitated, head just ripped clean off. And the part of this I love, like that part's great in a different way. Is that, so the way this resolves is the dude he slams the brakes, stops in the middle of the road, and we just hold on his face. We just watch him try to process this in his head for like a minute. And it's so nerve-wracking because you're trying to process it too at the same time. And so great. And then it's like he's like, okay, fuck. Like he just drives home in silence, parks the car in the driveway, goes upstairs, goes to bed, and Toni Collette the next day walks down into the driveway to find her daughter's decapitated corpse in the car. And it's just so horrifying, but so realistic too, because it's like, well, son's in complete shock here. Like, he's like, what the fuck do I do? I don't know what the fuck to do. So he's just in complete shock and just like, that's it. He's done. He's checked out for the day. Like my sister just got fucking decapitated in the back seat of the car. I'm done. Like, it's so great. I loved every second of this movie. I can't wait to watch it again and again. Unfortunately, I can't. Damn Movie Pass only lets you go to one movie and go to each movie once, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would be going to this. Hell, I probably would have gone twice to this by now. I'm almost done here. We're at an hour 7, and I've got 6 things left, so this should go pretty quick. Lean on Pete. This also came out this year. I did not like this too much. Like, it's okay, but I was expecting to be, open, weeping, just bawling at this movie. That's what I expected going into this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be so sad at the end of this movie. And instead, now, part of this could be the frustration because I had to watch this here at home. And, the DVD from the library, my copy of it, it didn't want to work too well. So it took me 2 or 3 tries to get the damn thing to work. So it could have just been my own frustration a little bit. But that aside, I wasn't moved greatly. Like, I was at times, but not really to tears, more in just, oh, damn, that sucks. Oh, damn. Now, part of this could be maybe Charlie Plummer's not great. He's beautiful, but he's not a great actor yet. He's not bad, don't get me wrong. He's good here, but honestly, I just didn't get the point of this movie at all. Like, this is another one of those movies like a Good Time was, where it's like, I don't get the point. Like, nothing really happened. Like, okay, Charlie's bored, so starts working with the horse to, be not bored and have something to do, basically. Same reason I started doing this show. Actually, years ago, that's the first reason I started doing fucking podcasts and shit like this. Anyway, random side note. Anyway, so he starts working with horses. Then his father gets attacked by the husband of this woman he's fucking. Like, okay, understandable. In my mind, understandable. And, that's how straight world works. Understandable. But, so that happens. Then it's, well, father dies. So Charlie steals a horse, a truck, a bunch of food, money, and goes and runs to Wyoming to find his aunt. He finds her, and that's the movie. Like I wasn't really moved by this. I didn't find it very emotionally engaging. I didn't really know what was going on, and honestly, The way the end plays out. Now, this could just be partial wish fulfillment on my part with the main actor, but the way it felt is that the horse stuff is so like inconsequential and unimportant that I was like, this really feels like this was supposed to be about like this young teenage guy's love affair with some other dude, maybe someone his own age or an older man or something, but it did not feel like it was about a young guy befriending a horse. Really did not feel like that. It felt a lot like dude loses in one way or another his lover, and I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. That could just be partial wish fulfillment, but I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. Alex Strangelove. This came out this year. This is a Netflix production. So this is the short version of this, short review here. Love, Simon as a sex comedy. That's the movie. But on a more thorough level. So as I say, yeah, sex comedy version of Love, Simon. That's what it reads as a bit. Now, I will admit there was about a good 20, 30 minutes that I was very interested with where this was going. Because the way they play it up is that, Alex has found the girl of his dreams that he wants to lose his virginity to. But he's afraid to fuck her for one reason or another. And then while out at a party, he meets this very interesting gentleman from, college-age dude. And he begins to question, am I straight? Am I not? Am I attracted to this guy or not? Am I bi? Am I gay? Am I what? And for a good 20, 30 minutes, I was like, oh my God, this is finally going to fucking go. We're finally getting our first, in my memory, bi teen guy story. And then at the end, it's like, nope, fooled you, closet case gay dude, ha ha. I'm like, oh, okay. Now, I will admit, I do like this movie. I like not only the movie itself, but also what this represents, that we are finally to the point where the gays, we can have our cheesy, stupid teen rom-coms the way the straights have. Very great movement. I did enjoy the movie. Admittedly, I did like it. It does explore the universality of the queer experience in the last 5 minutes, which is nice. So all in all, I enjoyed it. It's not a great film, but I did enjoy it. So I'll give it that. Forever My Girl. This came out this year as well. This is a romance. It's the same old shit you've seen all the time. Dude leaves woman, has to rekindle relationship with woman at certain point, and there's a child involved. It's the same shit you've seen before. This time, though, the dude in question is some country music superstar or some shit, which granted, I'm not the market, but I didn't understand because they have him sing 3 or 4 songs in the movie, and I'm like, really? You're portrayed as being fucking super mega celebrity, and yet your songs suck, man. Really? Wow. Okay. Now, granted, I know I'm not the target for country music, but whatever. That aside, the unrealistic nature of him being a super mega celebrity, that aside, it's a standard romance. You've seen it before. There's a lot of rich guy fish out of water in this common town type stuff that I mean, it moderately works, but I don't know. The daughter that he has, the daughter's adorable. Like, she's fucking great. But I will admit, a lot of the child stuff I did like. I liked the father-daughter relationship stuff. I found that stuff very adorable. But the rest of the movies, you've seen it before. Thoroughbreds from this year. I did not understand the horse part or why horses were brought up, but by and large, the Thoroughbreds, this is a dark comedy, not quite Ingrid Goes West or Three Billboards level of dark, but this is a dark comedy of sorts about two teenage girls' attempts to plan the perfect murder. And this also used one of my favorite. This also has one of my favorite shot sequences of the year so far. At the end, the murder occurs, but in the background, because we do long take for like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, 3-minute long take. Or so the idea at the end. So what happens? They try many other plans and they don't work for varying reasons. So the girl whose stepfather they're murdering. So they're murdering the stepfather of Anya Taylor-Joy, the girl that gets kidnapped and Split, the main girl. So Anya's stepfather, they're going to murder. Okay. So, the way they end up deciding to do it, Anya comes up with her own plan, which is she roofies her friend, okay? She roofies her, doesn't rape her, don't worry, nothing that awful. So she roofies her friend, goes upstairs, murders her stepfather, and then plants the knife, the bloody knife, and wipes off all the blood onto unconscious roofied friend, and the friend takes all the blame. That's the plan. And that is what happens. That's what they do. It's what she does. And it works. Now, the way they execute this, the way this was executed is fucking great here. So, Anya roofies the friend, and we, for 2 minutes, watch the roofied friends unconscious on the couch doing nothing. We watch Anya leave, go in the background, grab the knife, then go up the stairs. We hear her murdering her stepfather. Then we see her come back down the stairs covered in blood. We see her put the knife, and we see her wipe the blood off, and then she lays down and starts to cry in her friend's lap while her friend's unconscious. And it's a 3-minute long take of that. Nothing else. It's just 2 minutes of the background being the murder, and then a minute of Anya planning the evidence and then crying in her friend's lap. Like, it's fucking great sequence. Incredible. Love the sequence. Like the whole movie, love that sequence. I do recommend Thoroughbreds. The Les Miserables 25th Anniversary Concert. This is from 2010. If you're a longtime listener to the show, we reviewed last year when Greatest Showman came out. We did a tie-in musical review. And I picked out to do Les Mis, the musical film version of Les Mis, and I absolutely adore that. This is a live performance of the stage version of the musical. It's incredible, fucking incredible stuff. It's a 3-hour performance, so it's long, but it's fucking incredible. The story is, so great. Music's great. Performances are incredible. There are the very, 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 very minor logic issues that I have in with every version of the musical, at least. I haven't watched a dramatic presentation. I own a copy of a dramatic adaptation over there. I'll watch it at some point. But which is when Javert infiltrates the rebels bit. That's my problem. Is like, wait, these people don't know what the major, essentially the commander of the police looks like. Really? Wow. Okay. So very minor logic issue, but it doesn't, it doesn't take anything away from this. Absolutely incredible. Love it. Loved it. And the last thing, Gringo. I watched this earlier. Yesterday now. But today. So this is from this year. This is another thing. It's nothing new. It's your standard corrupt businessman fucks over an honest, kind guy story. There's nothing really at all about this that's too interesting. Charlize Theron is fun. I liked her in this. All she does is insult people and make not sex puns, but that's all she does in this movie. She insults people and talks about sucking cock, basically. That's all she does for the whole movie. And it's great. She's great at it. The thing I found the most unbelievable about this movie is Joel Edgerton being a great basketball player. I don't know. It seemed weird to me, but nonetheless, the cast is great. The performances are great in this film. The story is just so standard, cliche-ridden. You've seen it before. Nothing remarkable. So I enjoyed it. Amanda Seyfried was roped into this movie somehow. As was Theron and Edgerton. Edgerton, I understand because I think it's his son that directed this. So I was like, okay, I get it, Joel, I get it. But Charlize and Amanda Seyfried, I don't know what they were doing here, why they were here, but I enjoyed it. So the movie's okay if you like this kind of thing. This will be right up your alley, but I don't really recommend it, but it was all right. So that will do it. So that is that. And that will be this episode of Unspooled. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more great content like this. Until the next episode, goodbye.